Welcome, my name is Lethal Relief. Let me know if you like the night shift. My name is Ryan. What I'm about to tell you happened a year ago, in March 2024, at a warehouse on the outskirts of Edmonton, where I work as a warehouseman. I'm 35 years old, and for the past 7 years, I've been stacking pallets, counting crates, and driving a forklift across the concrete floor. It's a regular job, monotonous, quiet, enough to keep a roof over my head. The day shifts are bearable, but the night shifts have something different about them. The cold seeps through my jacket, the fluorescent lights buzz like a swarm of flies, and loneliness gnaws at my mind. I've always preferred silence over people, but my mind has never been quiet. For years, I've battled paranoia. The doctor calls it an anxiety disorder, a remnant of a childhood filled with my father's shouting and the slamming of doors that still haunt my dreams. That March night, the fear of the unknown and my damned paranoia consumed me whole. It was a Thursday, early March. The sun had set early, leaving behind a gray darkness and a wind that blew fine snow onto the warehouse's metal roof. An old hall full of shelves stacked with paint, tools, and machine parts. I had just finished stacking crates of nails, heavy, dirty, reeking of metal, and went to the office, a small room at the far end of the warehouse. The air was stale, the kettle smelled of burnt plastic, the desk was buried under paperwork, and the security monitor sat in the corner, casting a bluish glow on the wall. It was around 2 a.m. I poured myself a cup of coffee, black, bitter, the kind that keeps you awake, and sat down in the creaky chair, feeling the sweat gather under my old jacket. On the screen, 4 views: the main entrance, the back door, the parking lot, and the warehouse interior. Everything was empty, as always. My Ford sat alone in the parking lot under the street lamp, covered in snow that looked like white dust in the light. Then I heard knocking. Bam, 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 loud, metallic, like someone pounding their fist on the back door. My cup trembled in my hands, coffee spilled onto my pants, and my heart started hammering. My breath grew shallow, my head buzzed. Someone is there, they're watching me. The knocking didn't stop, steady, cold, mechanical. I stood up, but dizziness nearly knocked me off my feet. Old fears surged back like a wave. My hands shook as I approached the monitor and switched to the back door view. Nothing. Snow swirled in the light, but no one was there. The knocking had stopped. I sat back down, sweat dripping from my temples, a bitter taste of fear filling my mouth. I told myself it was just the wind or a fallen pallet, but deep in my stomach, a familiar tingling spread, a warning I knew too well. I looked at the desk. A package lay there, a brown cardboard box with tape torn at the edges. I hadn't opened it, didn't remember it even being there. Inside, a photograph, yellowed with bent corners. Me, 5 years old, wearing a blue jacket, standing with my bike in front of my childhood home in Calgary. Smiling, innocent, like the child I no longer was. My hands were sweaty, my fingers slipping on the paper. I dropped it to the floor as if it burned me. Someone knows who I am. They're watching me, I thought, nausea rising, my stomach twisting. The knocking returned. Bam, 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 faster, more insistent. I jolted upright, grabbed a flashlight and the key to the door, heavy, rusty, cold in my hand. This is a joke. It has to be a joke, I repeated in my head as I walked through the warehouse. Shelves cast long black shadows, pipes in the walls creaked like old bones, and the smell of paint and dust stung my nose. I stopped at the back door, steel with a small, grime-covered peephole. I peeked through. Snow, wind, emptiness. I opened it slowly, the hinges groaning louder than my breath. A package lay on the doorstep, Identical, torn open as if by fingernails. Inside, another photograph. Me, 15 years old, at summer camp wearing a backpack with a goofy smile. I threw it into the snow, slammed the door, sweat pouring down my back. The phone in my pocket read, "No signal." 3 bars vanished, the screen flickered like a broken TV. The warehouse lights flickered and then I heard footsteps, heavy, slow, like someone in work boots walking on concrete. "Hello?" I called out, but my voice cracked, sounded like a squeak. The flashlight's narrow beams scanned the shelves, boxes, dust, nothing more. Then a crash. The locker room door, a few meters away, slammed against the wall. My heart pounded in my ears. I rushed there, the flashlight shaking in my unsteady grip. Mike stood in the doorway, my coworker from the evening shift, wearing a jacket and holding his keys. Snow was falling off his boots. "Ryan, you look like a ghost," he muttered, frowning. "Mike, damn it, you scared me," I gasped, catching my breath. My back was drenched in sweat. My chest ached from the tension. "What the hell are you doing here?" "Forgot my house keys, came back for them," he grumbled, giving me a weird look. "I heard knocking on the way in, thought someone was here. Once saw a guy in the parking lot at night, figured he was just a homeless dude." "I heard it too," I admitted, my hands still trembling. "But there's no one here." "Strange place, huh?" he muttered, grabbed his keys off the shelf and left, leaving me alone. The paranoia spread like poison. Mike didn't knock, he came later. It wasn't him. The lights flickered for a second, came back, dim, yellowish, like an old film. I heard a rustle. Something fell a few rows down. I ran there, the flashlight stuttering in sync with my breath. On the floor, a photograph. Me, last summer, at a barbecue with a beer in my hand, taken from a distance from the bushes. They're watching me, I thought, my breathing ragged, like my lungs refused to work. The footsteps returned, faster now, from the right. I spun around, the flashlight quivering. No one. But through the grimy window in the corner, facing the parking lot, a silhouette flickered. Tall, hooded, moving slowly, almost lazily. A handprint remained on the glass, huge, dirty, black with soot. Below it, a crushed cigarette pack like someone had been standing there, smoking, watching me. "Who's there?" I yelled, but the wind swallowed my voice. I rushed back to the office, slamming the door so hard the hinges groaned. The photos lay neatly on the desk, 3 of them, precisely arranged, though I had thrown them elsewhere. I sat down, panting, sweat dripping onto my pants, my head spinning, my mouth filled with the sour taste of fear. The clock on the wall had stopped, 2:14. My phone still had no signal. A knock at the office window, small, barred, facing the parking lot. I stepped closer, flashlight illuminating the glass. Dirty fingers pressed against it. Footprints in the snow leading straight to the warehouse. To me. I grabbed the radio, trying to call security. Just static. Footsteps returned, now in the hallway outside my office. Something scratched the door, slowly, like nails on metal, while the pipes in the walls groaned as if about to burst. "Go away," I shouted, gripping the key so tightly my knuckles turned white. The doorknob moved. The lights went out. Darkness swallowed everything. A crash. Something heavy and metallic toppled over. "A shelf," I screamed, but the noise drowned me out. Something crushed my foot. Pain like fire surged through my leg, then vanished like a severed wire. I blacked out. The morning shift found me at 6 a.m., trapped under a fallen shelf. Paint cans had crushed my right foot. Blood seeped into the concrete. Someone yelled for an ambulance. At the hospital, they said they had to amputate. Bones turned to dust. The photos were gone, the footprints in the snow erased overnight. The cigarette pack disappeared. But on the office desk, a torn piece of my own notepad lay, scrawled on it, in shaky letters, "Good night, Ryan." My name is Chloe. I am 23 years old, and I work at a gas station along a quiet road near Brisbane to pay for my medical studies. I'm usually calm. I don't like arguing, I don't know how to say no, but that day broke me. It was December 2024, a week before Christmas, and I had been battling all morning with my anatomy textbook, nerves, muscles, bones, and a cup of coffee that tasted like mud and did nothing to wake me up. My head was pounding, my eyes burned from studying all night, and my hands trembled from exhaustion. The exam was in 3 days, and I still didn't know half the material. I expected chaos at work. Christmas meant crowds, but all I wanted was to lie down and forget everything. I arrived at the station at 3 p.m. The building was small and run down, dirty windows streaked with dust and rain, the neon "open" sign flickering unevenly, casting shadows on the wall behind the counter. Old graffiti covered the walls, faded scribbles. The parking lot was full of cars, customers coming and going, each more irritable than the last. One guy yelled because he didn't have change for coffee. What kind of dump doesn't have change? And I apologized, though in my head I wanted to punch him. Another knocked over a rack of chips and blamed me. "Watch where you're going." Then stormed out, slamming the door. I stocked shelves, heavy cartons of drinks, bags of candy, canned goods. My hands ached from carrying, my back stiffened from bending over. The place smelled of gasoline, old oil, and wet trash from the bin by the entrance, where someone had left a crushed beer can. The phone rang at 5 p.m. Matt, my boss, usually relaxed, always in a Hawaiian shirt with a smile, but today he sounded different. Nervous, like something was bothering him. "Chloe, hurry up, we've got a line," he said, his voice shaky. "I'm trying, Matt," I muttered, gripping the receiver. I wanted to yell that I was exhausted, but the words got stuck in my throat. "I know, but it's crazy today. Customers are pissed, stock isn't adding up. Can you come in earlier tomorrow?" He sounded more demanding than usual. "Sure," I sighed, feeling the pressure in my temples. My head throbbed, but I couldn't say no. 2 p.m. "Can you manage?" He was testing me. "I can," I lied, though I was boiling inside. I put down the phone, my hands shaking, my eyes burning worse. Just a few more hours, I told myself, but every minute stretched like eternity. By 10 p.m. it was hell. Twice the register froze, the screen flickering, customers growling. "What's taking so long?" Someone spilled Coke on the counter, the sticky mess soaking into my notes. I ran between aisles, stacking cans and packages, sweat dripping down my back despite the barely working AC. I thought about anatomy, but my mind was just noise, bone names mixed with customers' curses. My legs felt like jelly, my mouth dry despite drinking half a liter of water. At 11 p.m., something creaked in the back, soft like a box tipping over or a door shifting. "Wind," I muttered, too drained to move. My head pounded as if someone was driving nails into my skull. After midnight, the station quieted. The parking lot was dark, streetlights casting yellowish pools over asphalt, littered with cigarette butts, crushed cans and a scrap of old newspaper flapping in the wind. The windows fogged from humidity. The neon flickered, casting shifting shadows. An eye from the graffiti seemed to move in the light. Inside, the air was thick with dampness and gasoline, the floor sticky from spilled drinks, cracked tiles underfoot, the fan in the corner rattling like a broken machine, kicking up dust. My notes lay on the counter, Ulna underlined in red, beside an empty energy drink can and the pen I lost that morning. I sat behind the counter, resting my head on my hands, my eyes shutting involuntarily. Just 3 more hours, I thought, but exhaustion crushed me like a weight. The silence felt wrong. After a day of noise, it was too heavy, like something lurking in it. At 2 a.m., the noise in the back came again. A crash, a rustle, like something falling over. Again, I groaned internally, but my body refused to move. Probably rats, I told myself, though a slight unease curled in my stomach. My head pounded, my mouth was dry, my hands limp on the counter. At 3:30 a.m., gravel crunched. Someone pulled into the parking lot, slow, unhurried. I lifted my head, but my vision blurred, my eyes stinging like they were full of sand. The headlights died, a car door slammed. He entered, a man in a dirty gray coat, hood pulled low over his face. He didn't look at me, walked straight to the tool section, his steps heavy on the sticky floor. He picked up duct tape, gray, wide, and rope, thick, coarse, the kind used for tying packages. He set them on the counter without a word, the plastic bag rustling softly. "That all?" I asked, rubbing my eyes. My voice shook, barely audible. He nodded silently. His hands were dirty, nails blackened as if he'd been digging in the ground. I rang him up. $12. He tossed a crumpled bill and walked out, leaving behind a small plastic bag with a supermarket logo. The door slammed, the car engine purred, and he was gone. Weirdo, I thought, reaching for the bag to move it under the counter. My fingers trembled, but I was too tired to care. Inside was a shoe, a woman's black heel scuffed at the tip. Beside it, a car key with a heart-shaped keychain, and a bracelet, silver, thin, engraved with the name Emma. My heart stopped. My hands shook. The bracelet clattered onto the counter. Emma, my roommate, had one just like it, with her birth date inscribed. She had gone away for the weekend with Tom, the new boyfriend she met a month ago at a party. "Great guy, Chloe. We're going out of town," she had laughed, but she hadn't known him long enough. "It's not hers," I told myself, breathing fast. "She lost it. It's a coincidence. There are millions like it." But my mind screamed, what if it's not? What if something happened? Panic clenched my throat, but I fought it. "It's just a coincidence. Calm down." I grabbed my phone. No signal. Bars gone. "Police," I decided, standing up. My legs felt like lead. My head spun. Gravel crunched outside. I peeked through the window. The man was back, standing by pump number 3, hands in his pockets. He was staring at me, directly, unmoving. His hood hid his face, but I felt his eyes. Sweat trickled down my back. My breath quickened. What does he want? I thought, clutching my phone. I dialed the police, ringing, no answer. The neon flickered, shadows shifted on the glass. He lifted a finger, drew a cross on the fogged-up window, slowly, deliberately, leaving smudges in the grime. He kept staring. A knock. Bam, bam, sharp, quick. I jumped. My phone clattered to the floor. Another customer now, I thought angrily, irritation momentarily overshadowing fear. The knocking returned. Bam, 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 louder, insistent, the glass vibrating. I stood up, knocking over my chair, the pen rolling to the floor. He was closer now, his hand on the glass, the cross shining in the neon light. "We're closed," I shouted, my voice breaking. "Come back tomorrow, for fuck's sake." He didn't move. More knocking. Bam, bam, bam. The window shook like it would shatter. I backed away, the bracelet still on the counter like an accusation. "Emma," I thought, my mind racing. "It's a coincidence she lost it, but what if—" I grabbed the backroom key, hands trembling, but my phone rang. Unknown number. I answered, breathless. Silence. Then quiet laughter, low, throaty, like from the depths of a well. The call cut off. The knocking stopped. I looked out. No one. The bag lay by the pump. The cross gleamed on the window. The police arrived at 4 a.m. I reported the bag, but my words stumbled, exhaustion clouding my thoughts. The parking lot was empty, no evidence, the cross, gone. Maybe the wind wiped it away. I kept the bracelet, afraid it was Emma's, even as I told myself it wasn't. Emma came back the next day, unharmed, without her bracelet. She said Tom had abandoned her at the hotel and vanished. No calls, no trace. And me, I don't sleep at night. My head pounds, my hands shake at the sight of duct tape. I dream of crosses on fogged-up windows. Someone knows where I work, and he's watching. My name is Liam. I'm 41 years old, and for the past year, I've been delivering food on the night shift in Glasgow. This isn't my first job. I've switched jobs like gloves because people always made fun of me. In the warehouse, they laughed at my accent. In the bar, they made jokes about my weight. In the office, they whispered behind my back. I didn't fit in, so I left. Now I drive an old van, alone, and I like it. Silence, peace, just me and the road. I talk to myself sometimes, crack a joke. Liam, you're the king of the night, aren't you? I avoid customers. I leave the package at the door and disappear. For the past few weeks, I've been delivering to the same address. Every day, a large pizza, and every other day, a small portion of fries. Just a routine. But that night in December 2024, something changed. It was 1 a.m. The streets were empty, wet from the rain, and the streetlights cast yellow streaks on the asphalt. The order came through. Large pizza and small fries to an apartment in a rundown neighborhood. A gray 70s block, peeling paint, broken windows in the stairwell. The customer, as always, wrote, "Leave it at the door." I loved orders like that. No talking, no eye contact. I parked under the building. The engine rattled softly. Rain drummed on the van's roof. I got out, my jacket soaked at the shoulders. The food bag burned my hands through the thermal foil. "Quick drop-off and home," I muttered, stepping inside. The stairs reeked of urine and cigarettes. The light bulbs flickered, casting shadows on the cracked walls. Third floor, apartment 3B, same as always. I'd leave the package, and by the next day, the food and the box would be gone. Someone was taking it, paying online. I didn't care. But this time, something was different. Yesterday's bag was still there, untouched, the pizza and fries cold, the plastic fogged with moisture. I frowned but shrugged. They paid, that's all that matters, I thought, placing the new package beside the old one. I marked the delivery complete in the app, turned around, but something stopped me. A faint rustle behind the door. I knocked once, twice, hoping no one would answer. Silence. Then a sound, the TV muffled, like it was coming from the bottom of a well. And crying, soft, stifled, more like a whimper. "Something's wrong," I muttered, heart beating faster. Another day, another delivery. 2 bags from previous days lay by the door, untouched. The door was slightly open, just a few centimeters. Something moved in the gap, a shadow, quick, like someone had darted past. Sweat trickled down my neck, my hands trembled. "Relax, Liam. It's just the wind," I told myself. But the crying and the shadow. Something wasn't right. "Just a quick check, then I'm out," I murmured into the emptiness, stepping inside cautiously. The smell hit me instantly, musty, heavy, sharp, like damp rags rotting in a corner for years. The living room was small, dark, lit only by the bluish glow of an old TV buzzing with static. The furniture looked ancient, a cracked leather couch, yellowed with dust, a scratched laminate table, a chair knocked over on its side. Trash littered the floor, empty beer cans, crushed cigarette packs, food crumbs. Handprints smudged the walls, dirty like someone had struggled against the door frame, leaving streaks in the grime. The previous pizza was scattered near the table, sauce smeared on the carpet like red streaks. The crying came from behind the wall, muffled like under a pillow, unclear but constant. "What the hell is going on?" I whispered, breathing faster, legs feeling weak. The kitchen in the corner, sink full of dirty plates, food scraps stuck to the edges, an ashtray on the windowsill with cigarette butts. One still smoldered, like someone had just left. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I froze. My hands shook. Sweat dripped onto the floor. "Someone's here," I whispered. But the living room was empty. I didn't answer. I don't like people. Don't want questions. The buzzing stopped, but the crying continued. Quiet, persistent. "Get out, Liam," I muttered, stepping toward the door. But curiosity pulled me deeper. "Just a quick look," I told myself, turning down the hallway. And then, in a small room, I saw them. A man lay on the floor, stretched out, motionless, his head split open, blood pooling beneath his temple, dark and sticky. A metal pipe lay nearby, plain, simple, bloodied at the end, tossed carelessly on the rug. By the old radiator, chained by the wrist, sat a woman, gaunt, pale, her skin hanging off her arms like parchment, eyes sunken, hair greasy and matted. She was crying, softly, hoarsely, her hands shaking when she saw me. I froze in shock, breath caught in my throat, legs buckling under the weight of the sight. "Help me," she croaked, voice weak, breaking. "Please, free me." "What? What happened?" I choked out, my mouth dry as paper. "He kept me here for a month. Only fries, every other day. Small fries," she sobbed, pointing to the floor where crushed food wrappers lay. "I hit him. I had no strength. Please help me." Her words echoed in my skull. My hands shook, sweat ran down my spine. What am I doing here? I thought, but I couldn't leave. I stepped closer, knelt beside her, searching for the lock on the chain. Old, rusted, but still firm. "Hold on," I muttered, yanking at the metal, my fingers slipping with sweat. She sobbed, pleaded, "Faster, please." The man's head lay inches from the pipe, his eyes open, empty, blood drying in streaks. My heart pounded, my breath ragged. I wanted to free her, but my hands wouldn't cooperate. "Come on, Liam. You got this," I whispered, pulling harder, but the lock wouldn't budge. My phone rang again. Unknown number. I looked at the screen, hands shaking. The woman stared at me with wide eyes. Don't answer, I thought, but my fingers pressed call back on their own. Dial tone, once, twice, no answer. Third tone, fourth, silence. Just static, like wind howling in an empty void. I dropped the phone. It hit the floor with a dull thud, screen flickering out. "Get the hell out," I growled to myself, standing up. The woman tugged at the chain. "Don't leave me," she screamed. But panic gripped my throat. I stumbled back, tripped over a chair. The pizza bags lay by the door, 3 untouched. I bolted down the stairwell, feet slipping on wet steps, rain slashing my face. I climbed into the van, hands shaking on the wheel. The engine sputtered to life. As I drove away, I saw a shadow in the window of 3B, watching. I got back to the depot at 2 a.m., dropped the keys, said nothing. Who would believe me? The police arrived later. Someone had reported the noise. They found her alive, and him, dead. Me? I don't drive that route anymore. The silence terrifies me. I still hear her crying at night.